It's time to duel!
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode number 171 of the Unknown Games Podcast. I'm Adrian, and joining with me today is Alex. What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. How are you? I'm Alex. Hi. How are you?
It's been last week my internet was giving me some issues, and luckily today it's up, even though it still gave me some issues. It's kind of weird, but I'm glad it gave us a little bit more time because we're going to be talking about some Final Fantasy XVI today. Both Alex and I have been playing it, and honestly, I mean, this is probably the game that, outside of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we've talked about the most in terms of, like, whenever there's coverage of it, whenever there's some type of media about it, like, we just have like a full podcast about this. So, like, we just talk about it, right? We get every information we can and just try to be like, yo, like, how's it going to play? What's it going to be like? But yeah, that's this game, and it's finally out. I mean, it's been out for 2 weeks now. Has it been 2 weeks
I
or
think
1
just
week?
1 week, actually. Just 1 week and a half.
Yeah.
Because it came out on Thursday or something. So what 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days at this point.
Yeah. So it's not even 2 weeks old yet, and I mean, honestly, it's been I think what we're going to do is we're going to give our opinions on the game. We're going to talk about what we've, like, where we're at. We're not going to give any spoilers. I don't think any of us are, like, I'm not too far in the game. I'm probably 20 hours into it, into like a 60, 70 hour game at least. And so I consider myself at the end of what I think is part one, like the first act of the game, like the first full act. And then I believe Alex is a little bit further than that, if not maybe in somewhere in close to the end of this, maybe halfway, getting close to halfway.
Okay, so I don't know how, like, long I've played because I can't find a counter, actually. Do you know where?
Like, on the PlayStation?
So when you save your game, it just tells you the time you saved your game, but there's no, like, elapsed time?
Yeah, I think
I can't find a timer in the game anywhere. I don't know how long I played, actually.
There's supposed to be an actual what would you call it? On the PlayStation, on PS5, it's supposed to tell you what percentage of the game you're at.
Oh, really?
Is what someone was telling me. Yeah, I know it told me, like,
it tells you your percentage of trophies, but I guess you can guess based on how many trophies you have, because there are trophies that you earn for the story. So I guess depending on how many trophies you have, that might give you a good idea. So
that's true. But yeah, the game is finally out, and as always, thanks to everyone who's been watching and listening to us throughout all this time, throughout the last 2 to 3 years. We can't say thanks enough. So without any further ado, we're just gonna hop on into it because yeah, I'm excited. I know you're excited. I mean, where do you want to start with this? What do you think you want to start with the game?
I mean, there's a bunch to unpack about the game so far. I mean, we could talk about how you're enjoying it now, and how you feel the game is. And also, I guess, some of the opinions that people have about the game on the internet. I don't know if you want to address them or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there.
So, like, yeah, how are you enjoying the game? Like, are you enjoying it to the degree that you thought you would enjoy it?
Yeah. Actually, I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would enjoy it, because I mean, up until now, I've always said on the podcast that this whole game would hinge for me on, like, the story, because I knew the combat was going to be solid. I mean, in the week before the game launched, they literally came out and said, we had our A team working on this. You know, we had Homeboy from Devil May Cry 5, the lead designer from that, and he's doing his stuff. But then they dropped the bomb that, oh yeah, we had the Kingdom Hearts team working on this. We had Platinum Games working on this. And I'm just like, y'all crossed your I's, dotted the T's. I literally had I thought the combat was fine as it was. You literally just told me, don't question it. It's perfect. And
it's
in
pretty, yeah.
It plays. Yeah.
I gotta say, it's a pretty competent, the combat is pretty competent, I guess. And I actually like it a lot. It's really forgiving in a lot of ways, and it also makes the way that all the fights are, and I mean the boss fights in particular, are if you kind of get hit, if you mess up, you know why you got hit, and it never
Yeah,
feels unfair,
it
in
never
my
feels
opinion.
unfair. Um, I feel like there is a combo, like a not combo, but there is a training room that you can go into and just
Yeah,
practice
that's
moves
actually
and
really
combos.
nice. Yeah,
And
that's really nice.
I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time because I'm only playing this game on stream, which is there's been some tests for myself trying to do this on stream
That's
only.
deadly, dude. How are you gonna be playing this game? Because are you
Dude,
gonna do all the? Are you doing all the just story, or are you touching like?
I am touching as many side quests as possible.
You're gonna. I gotta.
There's gonna come a point where I will stop playing specifically just on stream and I'll play off stream for like side quests, and it's like, okay, this is just my
You
time.
might. Yeah, you might have to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
main story can be like just streaming at one
Just to
point.
stream stuff like all the stages. Let's say the stages do those
Mhm.
on stream, but all the side quests and everything else, maybe just tackle them
Just
elsewhere.
tackle them. That's
Yeah.
that could end up being the plan. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, so for me, it would hinge on like Clive, the main character, and the story that was around it because they didn't say anything. We know nothing about the story from all the promotional materials except outside of
They didn't
crystals
like.
and people have
It took them a
power.
while to talk about the story.
But I think, and I didn't play the demo. I know a lot of people played the
I didn't play
demo,
it either. Yeah. Yeah.
and so like I got to that part where everyone who did play the demo got to, and they're just like that cliffhanger that made them want to continue the
Where
story.
does
And I
the
got
demo end actually?
the demo ends, and this I guess this isn't a spoiler, but we'll say this is not a spoiler, and I won't say what happens. But after you know who comes into and picks up Clive, you know how
Oh, that's where
Clive
the
is
demo
just on.
ends.
Yeah,
That's where the demo ends. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
When
Okay. Okay.
homegirl's like, "Oh, you know," and you were like, "Are you serious? You the one who did this? Are you serious?" And at that point, I mean, that's classic Game of Thrones, and it's so funny some of the parallels. Like, what's his name? Goots.
Goots. Yeah. The
Goots
big
is
dumb
just
guy. Yeah.
he's Hodor. He's literally their
He kind of
Hodor.
is. Yeah. He's really big and he's really dumb.
And then I looked at Torgal, and I don't know why it took me this long. I'm like, that's just a direwolf. Torgal is a direwolf. He's just Jon Snow's big wolf. He's just with them. But I mean, barring all those comparisons aside, I think the best part is that while they use that as a structure, they have made a game where I don't feel like I'm just watching some type of carbon copy of Game of Thrones, or I'm looking at something that's like, oh, I know where it's gonna go. They've kept me surprised on like where people are, like what's happening. And honestly, like Sid, if this game didn't have that man, yo,
Sid is
Clive
such a
is
good character. Sid is such a good character in this game.
Clive is nothing without Sid. Sid
Yeah.
carries so hard.
Sid's a good, yeah.
And I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't in more marketing materials, but I'm glad he wasn't in because
Yeah, he's
this
a good
dude's
surprise
awesome.
actually. Yeah, I like Sid a lot in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
don't
about
know.
you? What about you? What I mean,
I
what are your
definitely I knew that I'd play it. Obviously, there was no question that I wouldn't play it. But for me, for the whole like promotional run up until just before it came out, I kind of like just saw the trailers, but then
Mhm.
I really didn't want to get hyped on the game, and that's because I don't have a PS5, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't because I didn't want to like hype myself up and be like, oh man, this game is so good, but then be like in a position where I'm like, I like desperately have to get a PS5, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait for the PC version. Like maybe I'll just like temper my expectations and I'll play it when I'll play it. I don't want to get pumped about it. But when the game came out, actually I didn't even play it at launch. Like it came out on Thursday, and I held off on even picking it up. I didn't even
Yeah.
own it until like Sunday or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I should probably play this game. I'm gonna borrow the PS5 out of the living room. I just disconnected it and I moved it over here and I hooked it up to my monitor. And when I started playing it and I got past the first 3 4 hours, I was like, okay, this is really good actually. This actually,
Pacing's so good.
yeah. And I've actually never seen a Game of Thrones. Like I've actually haven't seen a lot of it. I've seen like 2 episodes of it.
Yeah.
But and I guess without spoiling the story and talking too much and being kind of general, is it really starts out as like a really Western fantasy, like a lot of like the Kingdom Knight kind of political intrigue is there. It's very interesting, honestly. I really do enjoy it. So there's like we talked about this because they talked about this in one of their like press conference, like their what was it, PAX kind of thing, where
Okay,
there's
yeah,
like there's like multiple like kingdoms, I
kingdoms.
guess,
Yeah, I think there's
in this world.
5 kingdoms.
Yeah, like
Or so?
one. Well, there's like a bunch of yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like kingdoms in this world, and they're all kind of like vying for power in their own way.
Right.
And some of it is just through open warfare, but a lot of it is also through like more subtle, like in the shadows kind of political movements.
Exactly.
And that's really interesting. But it's not just that. Like it still is a Final Fantasy game at its heart. So in typical Final Fantasy tradition, it gets fucking weird like halfway through the game. It gets really weird. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to see, because like we have Clive's I adopted
His, like,
sister
ability.
/ childhood friend. We have his abilities, of course. Like
yeah,
they leave the mysteries open in this game. They start with these big mysteries, and they start dropping those breadcrumbs to you to like, okay, well, this has happened, but why did this happen? And then when I got to this part, and I'm like, okay, they explain this, but then why is this still happening, and what's up with this? And it keeps opening more and
it
more.
gets like really weird. I gotta say, like, think about every Final Fantasy or even RPG that you've played, or JRPG. I gotta say, JRPG where you play. It starts out kind of like in a world you kind of understand, right? And you understand the motivations of these people, but there's always like a higher power at play.
Right.
And like when that reveals itself, you're just like, oh, like what the it's like, oh yeah, I'm playing a Final Fantasy game, of course. Like yeah.
Like I'm curious to see what, like how far it goes up, and then of course
it's fucking weird, man. It gets so weird,
dude. And I have to say, because like right now we're just talking about the story and the active time lore thing.
That's so helpful. It's so helpful. Oh my god, it's so helpful.
Holy crap!
It's so helpful.
I have never just read this much in a game. So
you want to explain what that is?
I can probably find it too on my stream somewhere, because so essentially every time you are in or outside of a cutscene, for the most part, active time lore, the best way they described it while on stage was, you ever have that moment when you're watching a TV show and you're just like, who's that dude? What's that topic? All you do is hold like the PlayStation, like the touchpad. You hold it down, and a little relationship, like a relationship tree or whatever, like, you know,
like
the
a diagram pops up,
and it has the main topics associated with the conversation you're having right now. And what's cool is it'll have a little dot on it if it's new information that you've learned, or information that you already know. You know, it's already kind of like, okay, you know this, you don't have to look at this
so they
part.
like mention like a guy, or they mention like a kingdom, and you're like, why is that important again?
Who's that
kingdom? And then you can like bring it up and you can read about it, and like, oh, okay, I got it, yeah.
But it's so good, because I found myself reading it so much that I plan, like, okay, at the beginning of a cutscene, I might do it. At the end of a cutscene, I'm going to try to do it when there's a new character. And what I found is that it keeps me from having to go, and because I love the lore keeper guy, love the man.
I love that dude. Yeah,
man. I love
so
going
helpful.
and reading.
So helpful
because they kept all the descriptions in this game succinct. They're very short. They're easy to read.
They actually get expanded. I don't know if you noticed, but they actually get expanded upon. Yeah,
they get expanded, and the same thing with the active time lore. It'll actually expand on it as well. Like you'll see, like, you know, well in the when you go to Homeboy, he'll actually have before, after, and then like whatever the phases that have happened in the story. Like when you say they expounded on it, it actually changes based on
the entry changes.
The entry
changes, adds the new information you've learned in the cutscene.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But it's super cool. And if you ever wanted to read stuff in something like Elden Ring, those item descriptions, it just makes it so much easier to check out and read. Same thing with the item descriptions on the EXP screen or whatever. When you finish a fight, they're just there, and it's just I thought that they handled that very, very wonderfully. And it's, I mean, the thing is amazing. So I got nothing to say. No complaints about the story.
I got super sucked into the story over the weekend. So funny. Like something insane would happen in the game, and I would like burst into the living room, and I'd be like, "You won't fucking believe what just happened."
oh, and here's the active time load right here. I put it up on the screen, and it's just,
Yeah.
it'll just, it's there. Like I said, super easy to read, super easy to deal with. I mean, I don't have too many gripes with the story. I mean, I have more of a gripe with just, um, there's two topics. There's the topic of, and we knew about the bearers. We just didn't really understand. Well, we knew about dominance. We knew about dominance and icons, but we
Because they
didn't
talked
really.
about it on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really know about the topic of bearers, and
Just like racism. Yeah.
it's straight up. I mean, it's slavery and racism, but it's a slavery and racism in which the slaves are okay with. Like, it's so normal that no one's ever challenged it. And so I'm not
Except
gonna
for
get
like
into,
one dude now. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
and
two
and,
people. Two people in the story. Yeah.
and we did but it was just kind of like jarring because there are no people of color in this game at all that I've known, that I've met. I'm looking forward to meeting Jazz or somebody somewhere. But that thing, it for whatever reason, it like hit me for a little bit, just because I'm like, yeah, I know this is like, I know this game, I knew this game was going to be like this. I've played games that don't have people of color in it, and it doesn't hit me. But for some reason, when it's like a world on a grand scale, for whatever reason, this just, it hit me for a little bit. Mainly because it was like the topic of the bearers that hit me, and I was like, oh, okay. But barring that, because I've seen some other streamers talk about it, and I was like, I never really thought about it that way, but it's, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's
not a
so
bad
weird.
thing.
Like I'm sure you've played at least far enough into the story to have interactions with I don't know, it's like rich noblemen or whatever.
Dude, they're all like, man, can y'all shut up, please?
And
Y'all
it's
horrible.
like, I guess I mean, like the more you play, like you'll play it like more into the story, but like
Yeah.
there's like two sides to like a lot of people.
Mhm.
Like they're like actually kind of okay and kind of nice, but then they're also like really like,
I think there was even a line where it was like, yeah, the bears, we don't even count them as the same as like animals or something. It was like they just got knocked down below the lowest, like, but it sets the tone for the world, and it was just something that I guess during the promo materials I was just like, oh, I didn't know there was gonna be a topic. Okay.
yeah, actually I don't know, they didn't talk about it, right? Not at all.
Yeah, it was just the only thing we knew about were dominance.
It's like such
icons.
an important part of the story, though. It's such a big part of the story.
It's
like,
there.
It's really, really important. Yeah.
You can't get past it. But
it is like a
it sets
major part of the story. Yeah.
But yeah, story wise, I think we're both having a blast with it.
Yeah.
Combat.
Yeah, it's good.
Or where do you want to go next? What do you think we want to go next?
I don't know. I guess the gameplay for me has been pretty rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you earlier today like what your build was, but then it kind of hit me that like you probably don't have options right now.
Yeah, this game, you start out with one,
like you start with
moves.
2 abilities, basically three abilities, let's say.
And it's coming from like, because I've played all the Devil May Cries, I've played Ninja Gaiden,
Yeah.
I've played Bayonetta. I've played this game. Is it's not as it's not a Bayonetta. It's not as fast as Bayonetta.
No, it's really not. I mean, yeah, just get this out of the way. It's not as fast as Bayonetta or even Devil May Cry.
Yeah. Devil May Cry is oddly slow when it wants to be, because everything has a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
At the same time, it's not God of War. It's
this game
in
is
between.
I think it's a little more methodical, at least the boss fights for me. Like when you're surrounded by enemies, I go nuts. Like I'm spamming all my.
Do you find that the fodder enemies are enjoyable at one point, or you're like, dang man, why are they here? They're fodder.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. The minor enemies are fodder, but the one-on-one enemies, bro, you turn up. You like, let's go.
When you're in a horde, when it's like 5 fucking wolves or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm actually kind of annoyed. But now I don't know, I guess it's not a spoiler to say that you get limit break eventually.
Oh yeah, the limit. Oh, we ain't gonna talk about that fight though. Let the limit break fight.
I got full on goosebumps, man. I got goosebumps. Anyways, So now, whenever I'm in a fight, like a horde fight, I'm like, oh, it's a good chance to charge limit break. Let me just hit these dudes a bunch of times.
It's
Cause I gotta get my limit break gauge up.
it's
So then
so
I'm like, I don't. It's
interesting
like whatever, yeah.
that when I got that limit break, I was like, this thing gets up quick because you get it when you
It
take
builds
damage. You
it
get
builds
it when you
decently. There's lots of ways to charge it faster.
well,
You'll
yeah.
get there, but yeah.
I assume like defense. It said defensive maneuvers or certain skills you use.
It's like
it
using
goes up quick.
skills, getting hit, and doing damage will build it.
It goes high. There is a parry mechanic in the game, and the footage on screen right now. All this stuff is very early in the game, and this is the point. I think most people, if you're not action combat, if you're not
Oh
a person who
yeah.
plays it, you can press square, 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 maybe a couple triangles,
I know
and
it's like make combos straight.
and
Yeah.
make combos, and you'll feel fine about it.
Yeah,
You-
actually, let's
you know.
talk about that. Okay, so what mode are you on? Are you story focused or action focused?
I'm action focused and not using any of
Like
the
a-
accessories.
The
For,
any
like-
accessories?
Yeah. I actually tried the auto dodge out. It's actually pretty cool.
I
You
feel
Oh,
like okay,
don't-
so if
yeah.
I've never used any of them. I never use any of the accessories. If you auto dodge, does it slow time as well or no?
you should try that. So auto dodge and slow time are two separate ones. And then if you hit the auto dodge one, it actually waits until the last minute, which I was just like messing around. I went into another, the arcade play, and I was
Okay.
like, so what happens is it
Yeah.
allows you to actually do the dodge. And if you mess up or say you miss the timing, then it comes with the R1 and slows down time and says, okay, now you can dodge. Now press this button and you can dodge. So I love how it actually still allows you to actually manually do the inputs. And then if you actually did mess up, then it kicks in. I thought that
Okay.
was brilliant.
Can you? How do you still get hit? How do you get hit if
You will
have
you will
auto-
still get hit. I think there's two. There's no, you still will get hit if you miss the R1. If you just don't press R1. It happened to me. I did it.
Okay, but like it's much harder to get hit in
It's
that
much
case,
harder
right?
to I
feel like that makes all the boss fights trivial because yeah, a lot of the boss fights you need to basically not get hit, if that makes sense, to like finish the fight. But
so what it does, and this is why I initially tried it out, just like, okay, let me try this. Let's see how this is. And I think I have some footage maybe of it somewhere. Is when you get hit, like you said, you feel it. Your character gets hit to the ground, and it's like, I can't get up for a minute.
and you like roll,
he's there.
you're down for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're not used to that as like a player, you're not doing the swift recovery move or anything like that. It kind of breaks up the flow. Like the actual flow of battle is broken, and you have to kind of like rebuild your flow, rebuild how you're playing and everything. But when you turn that on, the battle just keeps flowing, and you feel kind of badass. You still feel like you're doing the dodges, and like, oh man, I kind of messed this up. But maybe you learn like you can do it better next time, because like I said, you're still able to manually do it a whole second before that thing comes back on, like it comes on. There's not a whole second, but it gives you a chance to actually play the game before it says this is a fail safe.
Yeah, I can't imagine because the fights, in my opinion, like maybe it's my play style, but like I'm dodge heavy, and it's like dodge counter, dodge counter, dodge counter. Like that's the rhythm to these fights. And if you like are auto dodging or it assists you when you're for dodging, it kind of makes those fights trivial, I think.
I don't want to call it trivial, because they definitely made this game for as many people who would want to play a Final Fantasy
Yeah,
as
I
possible.
guess so. Yeah, if you're really bad at combat, like you can just basically play the story.
You can play the story. And even myself, like early on, I found myself mashing until I went to the lab and started doing combos and just trying to figure out the rhythm.
Yeah, there's a timing for the magic burst too. You can't mash those, so you have to get the timing down.
So the mash on that mug is actually, you need to a nice tip is go ahead and upgrade all your basic moves at the very beginning, because you have the AP to do it, or the battle points, whatever. Go ahead, do all that, because it actually makes that timing window
Yeah,
it increases it.
it makes the window bigger. Yeah,
Because if not, I at one point I could only get like 3 burst out. It was
you
like
can't get the fourth
it
off.
was like hit, burst, burst, hit, hit, burst for the final
So
burst.
there's a mechanic for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. When you strike an enemy with your sword, if you hit magic, because there's one button for sword and one button for magic,
Hmm.
if you follow up with a magic attack, like kind of right after you hit with a sword, it'll combo. It'll do like sword strike magic, and then you can do it again, sword strike magic.
Yeah.
If you go like square square square, that's a 4-hit sword combo. But you can go square triangle square triangle square triangle. You basically get an 8-hit combo out of that.
Yeah.
But you gotta get the timing right. You just can't like match it because it won't come up properly. It took me a while to realize like while your limit broken, is that how you say it? When your limit broken, the timing changes.
It does, because that man just starts doing he does Sparta. Devil trigger Sparta.
Yeah, because his
Crazy.
sword strikes are like, well, they come out faster.
They
but
come out faster.
They last longer.
It's
So the timing is slower.
it's definitely his limit break form. If you've played DMC5 specifically, it's very DMC5 for Dante Devil Sparta. If you know what I'm talking about there, that's literally what the man is doing. And it's different. But I
It
like how the
changes
fact
timing,
that
yeah.
he even in that mode, you can have fun just wailing on the enemy. I
Yeah, you
think
can just go square 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 because there's no recovery time, right?
there's no recovery time. You do
Yeah.
take damage, but you don't get stunned out of attacks or anything.
You also can't die.
You can't die. Yeah, you can't fall
Yeah.
below 0 HP. So
Yeah, I've used that to finish fights. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just YOLO. I'm just like devil trigger and it's like
it's great. It's great the fact that I just
Yeah.
feel like they really put enough into the combat system to where even if you are using the accessories or not using the accessories, or because at first I thought, oh, there's only these 5 or 6 accessories in the game, and then it turns out, oh no,
There's a lot actually.
there's a lot, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have to feel bad, like not bad, but you know how like as sometimes gamers were like, I don't want to use the easy method or something, but the fact that they keep giving you more and not necessarily ones that will that auto dodge or slow time down, or I use the auto heal one. I'm not gonna lie, auto heal.
Oh, I actually, yeah, I'm not using any of the timing accessories at all. Because I actually like customizing my build a little bit, so I kind of depend on these accessories to not tweak, but to enhance the skills I'm using.
Yeah,
but if you auto potion, you can still manually potion, right?
you can still manually potion, and I will say that I learned when using Torgal's auto in this fight
Auto thing, yeah.
specifically, that man will say Torgal every second. Torgal, sick him, Torgal, get him,
that's so
Torgal.
funny, yeah.
And so I turned it off because I'm like, and I've learned to manually use Torgal in my combos, and then
Yeah.
I just leave the potion thing to itself. Now that what I'm saying in this is that it will use more potions than you need to have used.
Oh yeah, I'm in the red like a lot of the times.
You will have like
Yeah.
no potions and be like, oh, I
Where are
had
my
no
potions?
potions.
Where are my
Oh, okay,
potions?
where are my
Yeah.
potions? So it really does say like, hey, once you get the hang of switching off, just try to do more manually. But I'm glad that it's something I don't have to worry about. And I feel like you're rewarded for doing your special moves, iconic takedowns, when you dodge, doing things in succession. Every little thing adds up, and you see it ticking on the screen, and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm getting better because there's a score, and you just feel like you're getting better at the end.
I think for me, what's most rewarding is like learning new, I don't know, I guess like combat flows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I asked you what your build was, but then I realized you probably don't have any variation right now. You can change your skills. You have the option of 6 skills, I believe, right? So you can only equip. You can only equip
6, 9.
a total. Well, not including the one that's in circle, because that one can't be changed.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. There's only 2, 4. I only have four that I can use at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of variation right now, but like once you get other skills, I remember when I first started, like in the first couple hours, there's an option in your skill tree to master a skill that says like, so you can put it on any icon.
On any icon. Yep.
And I was like, well, why would I want to do that? But like now I'm like, oh, I kind of want this skill with this blessing. So I've been like, yeah.
So and I know we were talking about this for anyone who, and this kind of goes into the kind of RPG discussion about the game a little bit, because when you said build, I'm like, can you even have builds in this game? Like, can you actually have a build? Like,
I would say there's certainly less variation, probably less variation, but there are there is a build. Like I have to choose now like what skills to use. So
okay.
I've been experimenting. I've been using this blessing with this skill. I tried that for a bit and I was like, I don't like it as much as this blessing and this skill. So yeah.
I've definitely had that moment where I'm just like, even out of the two that I have right now, there's some that I just click with a little bit more, and some that I feel like, oh, I want to try to master this and try to be more proficient at, like you said, like countering. And then there's also like the parry mechanic, which I've been trying to get much better with, and that
I never parry intentionally. I only parry accidentally.
So the other mechanic that we haven't talked about is the blade charge, and so
I use that. I use that so much. Yeah, so much.
Use that for your parry. That's how you get your parries much easier, because it has a kind of invincibility frame on it a little bit, or so when you hit at the same time, it just makes it easier to hit at the same time.
So there is a like later in the game, like there's the parry mechanic where like you can actually get a parry off with a normal sword strike. It's when two attacks clash at the same time, you get a slowdown, like time slows. Yeah, and you can get a couple free hits in.
Get your witch time.
That's like a legitimate parry parry mechanic with any attack. Later in the game, and you'll get there. There's like there's an easier parry, and I've been doing that a lot. I use that a lot. So
I think that's about where that's who I'm probably going to. And I think he's technically in the trailers. I'm pretty sure that's Titan. I assume it's Titan. He's the defensive man. They've shown him. If it's not Titan, it's not. But all the skills, what I've noticed for each of the icons, they all have, and I don't know if his is a little bit different, but it's typically direct damage. There's damage, AoE, counter. And I don't know if his are more focused on one or more of them at the same time, but I appreciate that it's like, maybe you don't like this counter, maybe you don't like this type of damage move, maybe you want to invest in this one. This game, people want to poo-poo on the RPG elements of it, or lack thereof, or if there are any. Yeah. And I mean, it is an action game at its core, and I feel like you swap a lot of if you want to take FF10, for example, you have your spear grid system. Swap your spear grid system for your combat abilities. You're not so much concerned about leveling up hey, I'm trying to get more health. Hey, I'm trying to get more defense, or whatever.
You're trying to grind out abilities, basically. Yeah.
You're trying to grind out abilities instead of in Devil May Cry, where you would grind out orbs to buy abilities, right? So you trade that, and of course, I was trying to think. I was like, what else doesn't make this an RPG? Like, what else am I missing out on? And I was like, I guess I'm missing out on a party, but I've got like Sid or somebody with me. I don't feel like
I don't know that counts as a party, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're with you in spirit, but they're with you because they're not. They help. They do help a little bit. I have had fights. I've had a couple encounters that ended with Torgal. Like Torgal just like hits him. Oh, thanks, buddy.
It's so weird because they're oddly enough not on screen when they do their stuff. Sometimes, like sometimes
some attacks just come out of nowhere.
They just come in and you're just like, thanks, bro. This is cool.
I think there's one thing I want to talk about is like I've gotten to the point in the game where I can do challenging fights, I guess, like outside of the story. And to me, those are so damn fun because it really reminds me of like some of the raid mechanics from FF14. Which is the same team, same producer at the very least.
Right.
And I was
like, the same team.
Yeah. And actually, so if you've played FF14 and you played the first couple story like of 14, so the 2.0 content, and so that's like the content in would be like the what is it? One of those fights. It's Ifrit, Garuda, Titan, and like Shiva's like 2.1 or something like that. But if you've done those fights in 14 and then you play this game, you're like, oh, I recognize that attack. Like, oh, I know that attack. And it's like really fun to see that.
I think what was really cool is they do still, like, I haven't played 14, like not to that extent. Yeah. But when you look at because the move names are still the same. Like when Ifrit does like Hellfire, you're like, oh, he's bringing the
Oh
you
yeah,
still know,
yeah.
like some of those moves are still like. I love how they kept some of these things that are just like even the enemies. Early on you fight a
Well,
Marlboro, and then all these things are just iconic. You'll run into
so
things, and you're like, hey,
yeah,
this is Final Fantasy.
some of the other moves from the other bosses are named the same from 14.
Mhm.
So when I saw they were casting, I was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. Like I know what move is coming. I have to jump for this or something
It's
like that. Yeah, it's really cool.
and I like the way that they kind of make, like you said, those boss fights. They said they took a lot of inspiration from God of War in that regard. I don't know which God of War, could have been
Like probably
3.
like several of them, maybe. I don't know.
Several of
Yeah,
them. I mean, they've always
yeah.
done really good on their scale for the fights for those things. But it really hits you like when you, even from the very beginning, and I thought that they did a really good job of this. Of they try to make each boss fight, not only is it 3 different phases or
Mm.
how many phases, but they're different from each other, and that's something that Platinum usually does, and I don't really like it as much. There's something about Platinum games where sometimes the control or something feels a little wonky to me, and that's just me. And I even like when I was playing Nier, and I would like the very first boss of Nier, like I I have a weird issue where I can't wrap my head around things when they're too big, when they're just, I've said it on the
Oh,
podcast
and they're like
numerous times.
really like they're bigger than you. Yeah.
But for this game, and I haven't gotten to the extremely big scale,
There's
but
a really, really big fight. There's a
yeah,
huge boss fight. Yeah. Like physically like large, I mean, but yeah.
but up until now, even though some of them have been big, I think they've messed with that in terms of being like this fight is big in terms of what it means to Clive. This fight is big in terms of the enemy. This fight is probably going to make you go, wow, what the heck? But you're still able to kind of compress and think about like, oh, I can still do my combos in this. Like I'm not just, you still stay composed while you're still just like gushing. You're just like, this is
Yeah, the,
so
the
amazing.
boss fights in this game are like so damn good. Like so they're long by the way, like really long.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
goodness.
I don't know if you've gotten to this point in a fight yet, maybe, but it happened to me. I noticed it first when I did a stage replay of a way older stage.
Mhm.
But the fights are, well, they're not like real. I'm not. This is like not some wrestling stuff, but the fights are real. But like when you hit the end of your phase,
Mhm.
the game doesn't immediately phase to the next boss fight. So the boss becomes invincible actually for a while.
Hmm.
So I did like so much damage to a boss that like I
Oh
needed
yeah.
the I needed the next phase to start, but it hadn't started yet. So I was just doing like damage and it was invincible. Like it just wasn't taking any more damage. So the cutscenes for this boss fight had to play out before I could do more damage.
I have not gotten to that part yet, but it sounds like it's a fun. I mean
It's
that
like, yeah.
I don't know how to describe it other than it's just a fun. It's fun. That's the best way of putting it. It's fun, but it might not. I can still see how it might not be everyone's cup of tea. We've
I
talked about
wish
this.
I wish if you're doing arcade mode it wouldn't do that, but
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
like uh, I know we've talked about on the podcast how much we like FF13, at least for the combat, at least for
It's
the
fun
combat,
combat, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this keeps the same thing with you have the stagger system in here, and that
Oh yeah,
encourages you to
stag. Oh, dude,
like
yeah.
let's get them stagger, let's bring them down, let's
That's my MO. That's my build. I'm all stagger. Like the first part of the fight for me is like, how can I stagger you ASAP? And then
yeah.
once they're staggered, I'm like, how can I do the most damage right now?
And so those elements are there. And I
Yeah.
guess what people might be missing are of course, party management. Like, oh, in
There's
Kingdom
none of that.
Hearts, right?
None of that shit.
You can still heal Donald or Goofy. You can still like, you
Yeah.
can still do that. And then there's the fact that, and I don't know if this comes into play, but I don't think Clive gets any magic. Like, you can't debuff, right? I hope someone can debuff.
Uh,
One of the icons might be able to debuff. Don't spoil it, but
no,
I
you
don't know.
can't. No.
Okay. Okay. But
It's
that was one of the
all
crazy
action,
things
baby.
about 13, right? 13 like debuffing people, putting the stagger on
That
them
was
and just
so
going
fun. Holy shit, man. I
full
loved Port 13. Yeah.
13 and
Yeah, you have like a rhythm. You're like
fudge.
debuff, stagger, damage. And you just rotate through those, right?
Yeah.
So
And so
the
there's
second icon blessing that you get,
Mhm.
I have never taken it off. I have
the
never
second one.
taken
Dude,
it.
the second one's so good.
I've never taken it off because it's so damn useful. It's
I,
so good that I
I
haven't like I can't go without it.
I think that they did was really brilliant in terms of the like marketing
The two
material.
stage stagger, the two stage stagger.
They didn't tell us anything about the circle ability.
Oh, the icon blessings, right?
They didn't tell us that. We just knew you would have the flame icon blessing, but we didn't
Yeah.
really know about the other ones. And man, when I got that second one, I went into
Yeah,
DMC land. I went into
I
DMC
literally
land.
haven't like taken I haven't switched it off. It's so important to my playstyle that I've mastered a lot of other abilities and I put them onto that icon
Onto that
so
icon.
that I could keep using it. Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, so like unlike DMC or any of those other games, you don't switch weapons and you
Yeah.
don't switch styles. You can technically like limit break, which changes your base combo, right? But it doesn't really change your style. The only thing that does change is your icon blessing, which is like a unique ability. That's sometimes mobility, sometimes defensive, and I guess technically sometimes offensive, but um it doesn't drastically change the way that you fight, I believe. So
No. At the end of the day, like I said, if you want to just button mash through it, you totally can. I think you'll still be satisfied because the cutscenes are the in-game models wonderful.
they look really good.
They look
Yeah.
really good. There is an issue, and I'm playing this on the performance, not
Same.
performance. Yeah, performance, right? 60 FPS. When you were
60
out of
target, 60 target.
target, right?
Yeah.
Target, because when you are in combat, I believe it's pretty much locked at a 60.
It's pretty smooth. It's really smooth.
But when
yeah.
you go into the world outside of combat, you will see that turning the camera is not a fun experience sometimes. I mean, it does drop. It does hitch.
I get hitching coming out of combat actually. Like when
Really?
after my yeah. Oh, with some fights, not every fight, but
Okay.
like some fights. But I think a lot of people are complaining about the motion blur in the game, and it is actually really bad.
So that's what it
Yeah.
is. Like when I'm turning the camera, it just looks muddy.
It's really
It
pretty bad.
it looks like, I don't mind in combat, but out of combat, it looks like you're like when it hits 60 FPS, you're like, wonderful, I can see clearly now.
There
But
are
then,
some people that
fudge,
that get motion sick because of the motion blur,
I
and they like really want to turn it off. And I can see why. Actually, I wouldn't say I get like motion sick, but I can see why people get motion sick. If you just turn the camera and you're like, oh man, that's like what is like happening? Actually, it actually looks it's hard to track. You just can't see anything.
Yeah.
So I try not to turn the camera too much. I mean, I'm on a controller, and so you don't. Also, the game has auto follow. I don't know if you noticed this. Have you ever tried to play the game with just like your left hand, like just moving Clive? The camera will follow. So if you kind of turn Clive in if you rotate him, if you have him go around a corner, the camera will slowly pan and go behind him again.
I did not know that.
Some people don't like that. I don't mind it. And that's because I only really noticed it when I was eating a sandwich, and I was like,
and you had to do one hand.
I was like trying to play one-handed, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to like nudge the right stick in a second here, but then it like kind of slowly turned around. I'm like, oh, we're Gucci, and then I was like, I can play one-handed, yeah.
We Gucci now. We Gucci.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and I guess for anyone who's listening now, if you're still listening, you just realize we spent a lot of time just talking about combat, and that's
because it's a fucking action game.
And they took a lot of their time talking about combat as well. So
I think so. I do want to like I don't know. To me, like one of the really big discussion point is just like a lot of people are saying that like the game is not an RPG. Would you agree with that statement?
I half agree sometimes. Like I said, there's no party management. There's no other weapon classes or builds. You're not gonna like if you want to use an axe. There's no axes unless
you can't. You only have
a sword.
The one weapon, and you can't. You can change it. You get new ones. Don't get me wrong. You do get new weapons, and they do change your stats. You do get new armor, and they do change your stats.
but it's just like there's no choice. There's no
There's no choice. You're like, I
it's
want to
just
use
it does
not a sword
better.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just better, better, better. It's this weird thing of where, because it is an action game, you finally, like, if you go back and look at Strangers of Paradise, that's more RPG
It
than
is.
this game.
It is. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true.
But
So yeah, just
yeah,
just to be clear, like when you finish a chapter, like a story chapter, and you go back to your home base, right?
yeah,
You just call it your home base, and you go to a store, you go to your blacksmith, and you're like, I want to buy new armor. You can buy new armor, but there's only one armor to buy.
to buy.
There's no choice. You're like, this one gives me better magic, or this one gives me more health. None of that.
There's no, like,
You just
magic doesn't activate. I'm actually curious, and
yeah.
this is something I'll have to find out, if elements actually come into play, because I
I
haven't seen that.
think so. I think they do actually. Because I was fighting a boss and I was using an element
An
on
element.
it, I guess. And then I got a thing on the right side of the screen where it's like elemental weakness, and I'm like, oh shit, you're weak to that.
Oh,
So I was
okay,
like, oh
okay.
yeah,
Okay, that's good. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's a lot of the little things that kind of add up for people. Some people are like, I don't like the fact that I can't walk all over the map, and I'm like, listen, people, like a world map, there's in this
it's
game,
fucking huge. It's huge.
it's like they have these large open zones,
And then they
and
have the action stages. Yeah.
they have the action stages, and I don't mind it. I think it's fine, but I can see how some people would be like, I had to remind chat, like, we've gotten so used to every RPG in the past. When's the last Final Fantasy come out? When was 15?
2006, 2015, I think, maybe, or
Like,
2016.
it's been a while since.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been a long time since
You're
we've
not
actually
counting
had.
7 remake. You're not counting that the game doesn't count, or
7 Remake is probably the best mold of everything. I think we can all agree that if we could just get 7 Remake as all of our RPG combats in the future, it might be the best. But um, it's been a while since we've had a linear RPG, and 7 Remake was a linear RPG. I think people could look past it because most Final Fantasy games, almost all of them, are very linear.
well, yes,
You're
I
gonna walk
agree.
along a path. I don't think there's too many
Seven's
that you break out.
So 9 is pretty. I don't want to get into discussion. Actually, it's kind of a can of worms. But like 10 is extremely linear, and if I replayed 10 recently, that's linear as balls, right?
Yeah.
And 13 is pretty linear. 15 is open world? Question mark?
Question mark? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Question
guess.
mark.
Yeah.
I just feel like not only for this, but Tales went open world for like. I feel like everything went to like, hey, I can go here. I can try to open a door and it'll probably open. Even Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, whatever. Most doors in that game actually open. But it's this jarring fact that sometimes you go into this nice tavern or nice town and you go
You
up to a
can't
door
interact with anything.
and you
Yeah.
can't interact with anything. And it feels like you went back in time. But really, it's just like, what was the Final Fantasy series? You have to remind yourself it was always great music, and the music in this game is crazy
Holy
good.
shit, dude! The music is
Bro,
so damn good.
turn it
If
up.
you guys, yeah, Soken,
Oh.
the composer for this game, Soken, actually also does the music for 14. So I love the 14 soundtrack. I love the 14 soundtrack. It's so good. So when I heard, I'm like, this soundtrack is gonna be a goddamn banger, and
It's
it
a
is.
banger. It's a
Yeah.
banger. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
good soundtrack. It's always been like, after a certain point, the best graphics, which they've done it here. I feel like I'm looking at 15 Kingsglaive Blu-ray plus, but it just keeps going because it's like actually what you're playing, and I'm like, fudge, mind blown. And then we have, of course, a great story, which I think that they've nailed. I don't think they've nailed so far, and I don't know. Like I said, if I shed a tear for Clive, they will have won me over. They will have won me over.
There's
right now,
a lot. I gotta
I'm
say,
shedding for Sid, man.
there's really good human moments in this game. Like really, yeah, it's really cool.
Dialogue and voice acting, very much on point. For the most part, I enjoy most of the acting in the game, and
how do you feel about the mature tone? Have you been really enjoying it?
I like it. I like the fact that Marlboro shows up. Shit.
Yeah, it's true. Like it really is like a much.
Everything.
I was thinking about this earlier, like today or yesterday, where like 16 it is actually in a different like
it's a different tone.
It's a different tone. It is way more mature. People like swear it all the time. There is straight up like murder on screen. Like
they did a straight up Negan moment. If you ever seen Walking Dead, when Negan did something off screen, everyone knows. If you've seen it, you know it. What he
there
did to
is
some
like
people with
straight
the
up
bat.
like there's like
Just
murder
happened.
on screen. There's like beheadings and like throat slittings, and it's like all on screen and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I'm like, holy shit, this is like
it's
I don't know if I had a kid, I would be like, come on, kid,
no,
let's play Final Fantasy. Like, I don't know if I could
no. This
do
is
that actually.
it's
Yeah,
this weird thing of where, and I think this is where it kind of gets a little strange for one of the characters. Sometimes okay, it doesn't get strange. But what I will say is that it's unlike any Final Fantasy I've played before, and it takes a lot of the themes and actually shows them in a world that I feel is
it's the world building is so good. Yeah,
yeah, and you really do buy into it. That makes it so realistic and relatable in some cases. But because it's so realistic, it's this weird feeling of like, this is, you have to remind yourself, oh yeah, it's a Final Fantasy game. And sometimes the enemies do that for you. Sometimes it's just like, oh, this dialogue was a little wonky right here. This is a little okay, yeah, I'm back into the real world now.
like
Um
okay, but like because the game is so different tonality wise, I was like, if they did another Dissidia game,
it should be this.
Clive would be so out of place.
Yeah, Clive
He would be
he
so out
doesn't
of
fit.
place.
He doesn't fit. And I think that's what we've
Yeah.
always, like, I've always harped on, is that this is the first time, and it's probably why you didn't get excited until the game came out. It's because there is honestly, outside of Clive, there are some great characters.
Oh
They're
yeah, for
fun.
sure.
There's some
They're really
fucking
good. Yeah, they're good
banger
characters. Yeah.
characters. But
Yeah.
Clive himself, there's nothing you want to go, oh, I want to be Clive.
But he's
want to
like, but I mean, like, if you put him next to like Tidus or Sedaine, it's like weird.
If you put anyone next to Zidane, he looking
because like tonality wise, like Clive as a character, Clive's motivation, it's the way that Clive acts. He's like not like any other protagonist.
He's not.
Yeah,
he's not, and even
but he's not like Cloud. He's not like Squall or anything. Like maybe he has a little Cloud in him, but he's not really, he's not that type. I think remake Cloud is probably the best rendition of Cloud we have, and that game, I think they kind of framed those characters in a much better light, considering the world they're in. Yeah, I was just thinking like just how weird like the characters of 16 and the world of 16 is compared to the rest of Final Fantasy, which seems like brighter, oddly enough.
They're bright.
Like if you play 10,
yeah.
like 10 for instance is a pretty grim world if you played 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's like death all over that, like all over Spira. People die constantly.
Don't worry, she's dancing. Send him home.
Yeah, it makes it better. Yeah.
Send him home.
Yeah, but like if you like, it is a depressing world, but like despite that, 10 is still upbeat and lively in a lot of ways. Like there's Blitzball, which is like fun in a weird way.
They have characters.
Yeah, and there's like their designs, their character designs are still, I don't know. I guess like, oh yeah, it's a Final Fantasy game. Look at all the belts they have, right?
Yeah.
But like in your mind right now, like picture like 4 characters from 16, and they're wearing like otherwise pretty normal shit.
The
like
only one
armor, yeah.
And she's on the cover. She's on some of the arts. It's Jill. She's the only one that stands out. Look at what she's wearing, and then also her face is a little bit. I feel like she could go into like a chibi version of Bravely Default, or like Bravely Default art.
I guess it would translate easier for her.
She has a little bit of an anime touch to her. There's something that's a little bit different with her than everyone else.
Yeah, but like imagine like 3 of the guys that you talk to all the time. They look like
they just. I said on stream, this game gave us men.
Yeah, and like there's one thing I noticed is that a lot of the characters have like scars, like disfigurements actually. Like huge scars or like that kind of stuff. Like a lot of the characters have that. I mean, and if you look at like Cloud, he's fucking baby skin. Like he's perfect.
Look, once again, look at Jill's face.
Jill is
she's
flawless.
a weird
She's actually
yeah, she's a weird exception in this world, but like you
she
said,
is flawless.
everyone else has a little bit of this episode title. She's flawless.
She's flawless. Jill's flawless.
She's
Yeah, like
flawless.
legit. I'm not even kidding. Like yeah, but
um
no, like Cloud,
yeah.
the main character, like he's fucking like untouched, unscarred. Even Sephiroth, like I don't even know
They
if
just
Barret has scars. Does Barret have scars?
Barrett probably has a scar somewhere on his arm.
Yeah, but a
Around his
lot of the
gun
guys
arm
you
at
talk to
least.
have like full on like huge face scars, like or somewhere on their arms or something like that.
But
This
that's
is like
also the way that
yeah,
those characters were designed, right? They had
yeah.
spiky hair, or they had these anime proportions or designs, these caricatures. They're in this game that just isn't it's not a factor. It's not a thing that they have um
Yeah,
you
no
can
one
even
has
reference
like
them
anime
to.
hair, right?
Uh Jill just has weird hair, but it's not anime hair.
Well, it's like perfect hair, right?
It's a braid. She has a braid that comes down, a long braid on top sorry, below her long hair. So it's like she's got long hair and a long braid that goes down for whatever reason.
And it's like tucked away. I think that's like that might be a hairstyle I've seen actually in real life, but
But no one has like anything weird. I guess you could say the weirdest thing is that they're all so snobby. You want to dock them points for not the main characters, but the other characters. Like, man, I hate these dudes.
the only thing I
man.
noticed is
Can we get 'em?
that Clive like always has like a perfectly trimmed beard.
His beard stubble is nice. He's got some smooth beard stubble.
And his hair is like disheveled, but it's like
But
perfectly disheveled. Yeah.
it's perfectly disheveled,
It's
right?
like perfectly disheveled. Like he like
I
he
have
looks
a question.
yeah.
Does the sound of Clive's leather ever get to you?
I actually don't notice it.
It gets to me all the time. I guess because I have like my headphones in, but whenever he's moving, I just hear the leather going. Like you can hear him when he's running. I'm sorry.
I mean, you might like
It's
not
weird.
hear it after some time. I don't know how far you actually are. Like I don't know.
I just got my limit break.
Yeah, but like I can't remember if this is before or after that. Anyways,
Does he
like
change his pants? Is that what you're telling me? He changes his pants again?
he like changes eventually. Yeah, but
I'm
like
wondering.
remember in the PAX thing, like
So
you
I
follow
haven't.
Clive through like a lot of his life, right?
Yeah, and I haven't gotten to the potentially the next stage of his life.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I
Uh,
can't remember if he changes after that or before that, but yeah.
So is there anything else? I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? I mean, I guess honestly, I mean, we're both having a great time with the game, and that's the.
Game has boobies.
I haven't seen them yet.
Oh man, you're in for a treat.
You're talking to someone who saw those in God of War 1.
Yeah, they're great on PS2, yeah.
Those. God, I just the weirdest thing. God of War with the sex game, just like corkscrew this way, corkscrew that way.
Oh,
No,
actually,
rocket again.
that's really funny. That's what 16 is missing, actually. Yeah, that's really funny.
But
No,
yeah,
the boss fights are fun. If you do the hunts,
I can't wait to
they're
just
like
do hunts because I'm ready. To
they
just go
are
ham,
super.
man.
There's the hunts. Some of the hunts are really easy. Some of the hunts are not so easy. They will get easy if you put them off for later because you actually get like just stronger or whatever. But if you
Okay.
do the hunts like immediately, you get to taste like an actual hard fight. One of the fights took me like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and a lot of it was just like
wow.
learning the fight, like getting hit and dying, getting hit and dying. And I'm like, and then you learn like the mechanics, and then like you get to a point where the boss you get to the last phase, and then the mechanics change, and you're like, all right, how does this work? And just don't get like tilted, don't get like mad, because that's not meant to be that. Like you're meant to just slowly learn the fight. But there's a couple fights where like the boss will do something and the whole ground becomes dangerous basically, and you have to like navigate to like a safe spot on that ground, wait for the attack to clear, and then you can start attacking again. But until like you figure out where that safe spot is, you're probably just gonna die. But oh yeah, my pro tip is even if you're getting hit and you're in a stun lock animation, you can use potions.
Oh yeah,
So
you're right. Yeah.
if you're really shitty
Potion
and you
your
can't
life.
dodge an attack, you can just consume all your potions in one go and like survive it. You're like, oh fuck, I don't know how to dodge it. I guess you don't have to if you have potions, but yeah.
I guess that's another weird thing about the game. Can you ever go beyond 4 potions and 3 high potions?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. It's just fine.
Yeah, you can hold more, but you have
Okay.
to earn it. You have to earn it.
You have to earn it. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm like, can I hold more potions?
Yeah, you can hold more potions, and you can also increase your efficacy of potions.
Okay, I know I've gotten
But
an item for that. Or
you have
one of the
to earn. You have
accessories.
to earn those as well. Maybe you got one already, but you can do more. You can increase it even
You
more.
can increase even more. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, that is FF16. I mean, we're both continuing playing, of course, to the end. And this is, I said this is like a mini review because honestly, this game is probably going to change by the start to the end. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I
I'll have to check in,
assume
I guess, like how you feel about the story, because I'm at the point where it's just like a
depression.
Final Fantasy. It's finally like a Final
Oh,
Fantasy
it's like a
game
Final Fantasy game.
in terms of just like what the fuck am I like? What is why is yeah? So
Well, we already had a moment of Kingdom Hearts happening at the very beginning. It was like, are we serious? We going to Kingdom Hearts land for a
well,
second?
I'm sure you've noticed that there's like ruins and stuff, right?
Yes, and I have not been able to open. I found one that I couldn't open yet.
There's like structures that you like are just there, and everyone's just like, oh, the ruins, yeah, of course. I'm like, and
Oh,
you're like, and then
this is the spoil the fallen stuff. Okay, I got you, man. We're good.
and then
We're
as a
good.
player, you're like, should I care about this? Like,
They look so pretty. We're all
yeah,
in
yeah, they do,
them.
yeah.
Um, what did we learn from Tears of the Kingdom about ancient races? They fell from the sky.
It's true.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
well,
know. It's good. Like once you get all your blessings and you have all your combat options available, like I don't know if you are gonna change like your because you get so ingrained in like combat, you get ingrained in like how you play the game
how you play it, and then
that
they
like
give you these other things. You're like, do I want
once you
these?
have more options, you're like, do I want to use these though? Like so.
Um, but I will say, and I don't know if they will do this, or they probably won't do this, but one of the people in my chat was like, I'd love to have Odin in this game or something like that. I'd love to have like this summon. I'm like, well, if those summons exist in this game, that means that we're adding new characters, aka people, into the story. But I'm like, man, that would be kind of hype DLC though.
You can probably guess how many blessings you get because when you open your
You'd
ability
see,
screen,
there's only so many that fit on that radio.
you can guess how many like you can kind of
Yeah,
piece together the full image, right?
you can piece it.
So you can kind of guess how many abilities you're gonna get in total.
I just pray I could get the dragoon.
I had like a dread.
Fudge.
I had a moment of dread in when I was playing recently of because like you by this point you've already gotten your first additional blessing, right?
Yeah.
And you know how you got that blessing, like how that cutscene unfolded.
Yeah.
When I counted all the when I counted all how many you get in total, I was like, oh no.
And AP does not, or the points do not build easily. I will give them that. Like I've had to get some of mine just by going back to the story mode.
Oh, you
Like the
grinded
stage
AP?
replay. Yeah, I grinded
You
AP
grinded it.
because I'm only playing like only on stream so far. So I'm like, I've been itching to play the game, and I'm like, I can't progress anymore. So I'm
So
just
you
gonna
just want
go.
I want to do something.
So I just go and do stage replay and just get some AP
But dude, like
just
the fucking
and practice my stuff.
it's so oh my god.
You can turn the cutscenes off.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but like the fights start yielding so little experience
it's so
after some
little.
time.
When you start looking
Like
and you're
so
just like,
little.
this is 10, great.
It's like really bad. Yeah, you like honestly
Check.
when you unlock hunts, just do hunts because they give a lot of experience.
Yeah, because I think I'm level 22 at the moment. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's probably. I assume that this game should have everyone around the same level up to a certain point.
Sorry, everyone. What?
Everyone should be around a certain level up until a certain point in the game when they kind of turn the reins loose a little bit. So like you
yeah.
should be here around level 20, 30, 40, you know. You should be
I gotta
around this
say though,
area.
like you don't need to grind because
No.
like the game will like make sure all the fights are fair.
You don't have to grind because your weapons are your stats. You get a new weapon, go to the store and get these your new armor, get the latest, greatest, best, and you should be good for the next fight.
There's some weapons that you can't make immediately because you have to get the materials.
Oh, you get the materials?
Yeah.
The materials are tied to, yeah. Thanks.
But even if you don't like, you should at least very least buy a new weapon every time you finish a story like mission. But like even if you like avoid a lot of the fights in the field, like the trash mobs,
yeah,
when you finally get to a boss fight, it'll be tricky, but it won't be unfair. Like the fights are very winnable, even at a level disadvantage. Like I've won a couple fights when I was like 12 levels below.
Okay, yeah.
It was a tough fight, but I still won it. So
but I mean that's the beauty of the game. I think they did a great job of making this this RPG, this action game. It's hard to call it 100%. You know, it's a portion of it's an RPG. It's a portion, but you know what is an RPG? Stat manipulation. I don't know. Monster Hunter was in RPG category, so we good.
I think I'd like this is definitely like a black sheep for the series in terms of like a lot of ways, in terms of tone, in terms of
it's
an action game, right? Mostly action game. So it's definitely a black sheep, I would say.
Closest we get is 12.
For what, black sheep status?
For black sheep status. That game is on like life support status of, did you play 12? How much?
I played
an hour.
It, yeah.
I played an hour. I couldn't get past it. But I guess you know, people did like the two characters, I'm forgetting Homeboy and Rabbit Girl. People call her Rabbit Girl. I'm so horrible. Chat will call me out on that on YouTube. His name wasn't Vash, was it? It wasn't Vash, was it?
No, you're thinking of Balthier.
Oh, Balthier, yeah, Bashir.
No,
yeah.
you're thinking of Balthier.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think he's the closest we get to someone who could kind of chill with the 16 crew.
I guess so, yeah, Balthier, because he's kind of like he's like older. By the way, Clive is like the oldest protagonist, like the oldest Final Fantasy protagonist.
Don't we forget
the whole cast, by the way, the whole cast is like double the age of the average Final Fantasy cast.
You know what? I think Sid from FF7 could go hang out with Sid a little bit. They wouldn't have the same idea. I feel like they just shoot shit and talk, smoke.
But like, yeah, no, because like Cloud's like what, 17, right?
Wait, is Cloud 17? I thought he was like 20
like
or
17.
Something. I thought he was in 20. And that kid.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure he's not 20.
He's not old. He's definitely below his 30s. I feel like he was like early 20s.
He's 21 in 7. Okay. Yeah, he's 21 in 7.
How old is Barrett?
Still, how old is Barrett? Barrett's got to be oh my god, I bet he's only like 30.
Look at Lightning.
I bet you Barrett's only like 30, dude.
Lightning is in her 20s as well.
Yeah, Barrett is 35. Barrett is 35.
Yo, bro, we're almost Barrett age.
No, but like Clive is like the oldest protagonist for sure, especially after all the time stuff. So it's so weird. Like the whole cast is just like actual adults. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh!
Like actual adults.
Are they telling me that Lightning was a 14-year-old girl? Wait, no. The age of the game is 14 years old. Don't tell me Lightning was 14 years old. That joke would have scared the crap.
Lightning Farron? Yeah.
She's 21 and 13. But remember she might be the oldest because she had that she's a god, isn't she, or some crazy
Oh, so she's like 500. She's 521 at the end of the series.
She said, "No one can top my age. No one will ever top my age."
Yeah, but she's 21. But
as old as a summon. Fuck.
Yeah, no, but Cloud is like Waka's only like 30.
Waka is a spry 30 or something, right?
Yeah, Waka. He's fucking out.
Him and freaking Lulu. We had a kid. Shocking. What?
Walker's 23. Are you kidding me? Walker's 23. Walker's 23.
What was Walker's thing? Yeah, man. Just
Yeah.
always said.
Holy shit. Walker's 23.
Oh gosh. Now I want to know how old was Oren? Oren
Yeah.
had to be older.
How
he had to
Oren,
actually be like he had to be actually old.
No,
he
Oren's
had to
got
be
to
in
be
his 40s or 50s.
Oren is 35. Oren's 35. Oren's 35.
They hit us with the gray streak of hair and then just said, man, he just looked old. Dang. You know what?
Oren's
Maybe
35.
You know what would be really interesting is as children playing those games, if we just thought they were old because that's what old people look like.
Yeah, I'm like, wow,
We just
35 is so old.
We start like a little gray hair on him and like, oh, he doesn't see and everything. Oh man, he's old as dirt.
Holy shit, Oren's 35. Yeah, so Clive and like Oren are like the same age. Almost.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. But yeah, so we'll be back again for another episode next week, 172 of the Unknown Games podcast. Until then, Alex, where can they find you?
I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/root24. I play games, I guess. I was playing Golden's with you actually last week, but probably play a little more this week. And then if I feel like it, might jump back to Power Wash because the SpongeBob DLC came out.
They have so many weird. I don't even know. Like you're cleaning stuff under the sea.
Yeah, you are cleaning a pineapple under the sea. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
New things. And of course, you can find me at Ninja Tricksta on Twitch as well. Currently streaming FF16 and Tears of the Kingdom. My stream schedule got weird, man. Blue Protocol on Thursdays, along with the last little bit of Mario Odyssey and Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Sweet.
Getting my chores in on Thursdays.
I actually can't believe we're playing that. Are you seriously playing that?
Game Pass said it's okay, you can play. I actually did want to play it when they announced it, but they didn't have multiplayer. They still don't have the multiplayer into it right now. But yeah, it's like my temporary Kingdom Hearts fix. But now my PS5 is here. It's next to my computer. I can probably just actually start playing Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Actually, here's finishing on this question. If you didn't have a PS5, would you buy it for 16? Did you buy it for 16?
I did buy it for 16. I had the bundle for 16.
That's so funny.
I got mine specifically for 16 in terms of like, yeah, because it was on my list of things to stream this year. Like, you know, I'm going to do this because.
Yeah, I think I at the time I was just like, I don't want to get a console for one game. But now that I've played 16, I'm like, maybe I would get a PS5 for this one game.
I think it's worth it. And now I got God of War, Ragnarok, and Horizon, and Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll probably play Judgment on this, and so my PC can focus on streaming, or I don't know.
Yeah, I still didn't buy one actually. I'm just borrowing one, but like I think now if they announce a Slim, I'm like, maybe let's get a Slim.
Yeah, I mean I got the digital edition, so that little
it's a little smaller.
It's
so fucking big, man. It's a big console.
But you know what? It's actually lighter than. It feels lighter than my the OG PS3. Maybe I
think it might be lighter. Or maybe it's really close, but it's fat. Boy, it's a fat console.
Yeah. That digital one is definitely less fat, but it's still fat.
Slightly, yeah. But I have the disc edition next to me, and it's just like, man, it's big. Sometimes I hate looking at it.
Could they literally have just like the way this thing is built? Could they have shaved some of it off somewhere?
They could have made it.
Those plates. The plates.
Yeah, they could have made it look smaller if they didn't make the plate so goddamn weird, right?
The cape plate or whatever this thing is.
The popped collar. Yeah,
the pop collar. It's too.
Because it flares out.
It just flares out at the top.
Out. They could have made it look a little smaller had they changed the plate design, and they could have also made it smaller if they cheated and made the power supply external. So basically,
like an Xbox,
like a power brick. Yeah,
gosh, those power bricks.
People might have hated it, but it would have made the PS5 slimmer, and if they had a power brick. What
you can always say about Sony is I've been using one of the same power brick cable.
The figure 8 one, the Mickey Mouse one.
Ever since my PS3, same cable.
Yeah, that's handy.
Same cable. Wonderful times. Anyways, we'll catch you all next
I'm
week.
using a PS2 one. I gotta say, I'm using
Wait,
one for my
you're using
PS2
PS2 one?
Yeah. I was like, is it
I
gonna
didn't know-
work?
I
Plugged
forgot
it
the
in. Oh, it
PS2
works.
one is the same one too.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, so I'm using a PS2 one. So
The
there you go.
only thing you can't use are the S-cart cables because they don't exist.
No.
They don't exist after PS3. Anyways, have a good one, everyone, and remember, stay safe. I don't know what else you want to do, but have some fun. Celebrate Final Fantasy VII. Sorry, 16.
Holy shit, dude.
Selling
okay?
3 million. Yeah, selling 3 million copies in the first 3 days, and being the highest selling retail PS5 game in Japan on launch week. 336,000 copies, beating out Elden Ring for 90,000.
No offense, but that's not hard. Yeah.
It's not hard, but hey, it sold more than the Elden Ring did.
Yeah.
Well,
Elden Ring
launched.
also came out in the period when no one had a PS5.
When no one had it. So for actual comparison, RE4 remake was 89K.
Just PS5?
On both systems. Xbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Xbox, PS5, and PC. So, that's Japan. It's a small place. Anyways.
All right.
I'm trying to find this thing to end on, but it's just not here. Bye, YouTube. Thanks, YouTube.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye-bye, everyone. So I find something to end on somewhere. There we go.